like, oh, here's another couple of guys with a podcast. Let's see how it is. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are listening from. This is the Dad Club Japan podcast. I'm here with my regular co-host, Duncan.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. And today we've got a guest, a special guest, and his name is Marco. Welcome.
Hey, special. I don't know about that, but I guessed it in any case.
Yeah, everybody's special here on this podcast.
Yeah, and
we're in a special occasion.
Exactly. If you are just listening, this one you really probably should go and check out the video because we are al fresco, up high, looking down upon Saga, I believe, which is next to Fukuoka. Yeah. How high are we? Any idea? 848 meters, that says, but that doesn't seem. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
Let's go with that.
Feels pretty high. Feels pretty damn high. Yeah. And actually the first...
Why are we up here? That's a good question
to
start with.
Okay. Well, Marco, do you remember when we first met?
I do, yeah.
So I'd actually heard your name before through Uli, if you remember. You were going to come to a dad club, dad camp. And I think your son was 6, so you couldn't make it. So I had your name somewhere, but I think it was a good year or so later. I was in this area with another guy trying to do some mountain biking. We were hopelessly lost, a little bit like me and Joel were earlier today. Yeah. It's a common theme. And yeah, I was about to give up. I was like, this is not happening today. I got to get back. We're wasting too much time. And just as the universe often does, delivered, we saw 2 guys, obviously had been mountain biking with nice bikes, helmets, and let's ask them. And that was you.
That's right. Yeah. And we're like, okay, you're absolutely at the wrong place, but you just head down that way, turn this way, that way, then you can get a ride.
Yeah. And you were obviously on your super duper bikes and said, hey, come another time and try them out, which I did. And we sat at this very spot before embarking on the first ride and did a bit of hey, let's get to know each other. And I always thought this would be a good spot to do a proper episode. So we've done it. I think that was back in 2023. It took a few years, but here we are.
Well, I mean, it's perfect out here, right?
It is nice. It is nice. Yeah.
And so, Marco, is this your this area is where you live, or is that the idea? Or
so I live in Minamihata, so it's in this valley, down at the bottom of the mountain on the opposite side. It's a little community. It's countryside, but it's a lot of young families. So you've got the older generation farmers and such, but there's a lot of, it's become super popular. Okay. So there's I think hundreds, really literally waiting list to pick up houses in the area. But yeah, there's a lot of young professional families. So yeah, it's a growing community, and it's in the countryside, but it's I guess not what you would think of as a Japanese countryside scenario.
Okay. And speaking of families, you're obviously a father, or you wouldn't be on the podcast.
Yeah.
How, 1, 2 kids?
Father of 2 boys, a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Kind of on similar trajectories. I got a 6-year-old as well.
Okay.
And a 10-year-old. Yeah. Wow. So I imagine one of them must have just started elementary school then.
Literally yesterday was his opening ceremony. Yeah. So he's got the big ass backpack, lugging that around. Yeah. He was excited today. He's like, I want to walk. I was like, all right, we'll see where that motivation goes in 6 months.
What size is the school here?
So pretty small.
Yeah.
I think overall yesterday I counted probably about 120 students in the elementary school. And
wow.
In the whole school?
In the whole school,
right.
Yeah. And his class is about 20.
Okay, and that's just one class for the whole year,
yeah,
for the whole
so
grade. Yeah.
Grade 1, I guess it would be.
Yeah, one class. Yeah,
it's a nice size class.
Yeah, because I saw your guy going off this morning, your youngest one.
Yeah,
there was 6 classes or something in his
got 5 or 6 classes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like 30, 35 students in each class. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And I guess they have 2 teachers. at some points.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but so I'm sure the smaller class though, the better attention is paid to the kids, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay, yeah. Is
yeah.
that international school or local
No,
school?
no, just inside Fukuoka City, just
Okay.
regular public school. Yeah, it's just big though.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. So how long have you been in Japan?
Just over 5 years,
Oh, okay.
permanently. I used to come and go before that for a couple of years,
Hmm.
but yeah, 5 years permanently.
And you're from where originally?
So my parents and family is from Argentina,
Hmm.
the north of Argentina, half from the border of Brazil and Argentina, the Iguazu Falls.
Okay.
And that's my mother, and my father's also from the north,
Mm.
from one of the poorest provinces as such.
Mm.
Super fun. Yeah, and I was born in Italy.
Oh,
Yeah, but
wow.
I haven't lived in either of those countries permanently or studied or such.
Oh, okay. And so I'm trying to place your accent. It sounds very North American.
Yeah, so I spent my adolescence from grade 1
Mm.
through till my first year of high school in Canada, in Toronto.
Oh, in Toronto. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. East Coast. I'm from the West Coast.
All right.
Yeah, Toronto, eh? Wow.
Yeah.
Do you miss it?
So funnily enough, because I moved around a lot, based my whole life, the idea of home,
Mm.
I never really had. Home was just wherever I was staying. I still say that now, even if we're at a hotel, for a few days or something. I'm like, okay, well, let's go back home. I still have that. And then with my wife, we were on a trip before we moved to Japan, and she also studied in Waterloo. She did her university there.
Okay.
So yeah, when we crossed over the border, we were driving. When we crossed over the border from the States into Canada, I had this, for the first time in my life, overwhelming feeling of like home. And that was the first time I got it. I was like, oh, this is home. This is what it feels like. Yeah, it was super interesting. It was the first time I had that feeling. And yeah, so I suppose I definitely have a great affinity for Canada. Its culture, my humor is in line with Canadian humor.
Yeah, I
So,
thought I
yeah.
recognized a little bit of that. Would you call Japan home now? Does this feel like home to you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, feel like home. Again, not that feeling.
Sure.
But yeah, it's home in that this is where we stay, and especially now with family and kids and stuff. It's a lot more rooted than when I was in other countries for the same time period.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful to go over something we've talked about before, which is how you didn't sort of end up in Fukuoka or in close to Fukuoka. You very purposely did a lot of research and chose this place. Just tell us about that.
Right. So when I met my wife, which is a whole nother story, she was living in Malaysia, in KL. So I went over there, never left until she married me. And then she was pretty unhappy at her current job, and it didn't seem like it was going to change in the future. So she agreed to marry me, and so then at that point we were thinking, all right, where should we settle for, that's going to be good for us, good for growing a family, etc. So I'll give you the short end if I can. My short end, which is not short. And so we decided to take a year's trip around the world to possible countries where we could sort of set up. And we started in Japan, and then we headed over to North America. The time when I went across the border, drove from Florida up to Montreal, and then went to South America, to Argentina, some other countries there, across to Africa, and then some Southeast Asian countries, and then back to Japan, where we were. It's absolutely Japan. This is by far. And then so once my wife's parents live just outside Tokyo in Kawasaki, a couple stops away from sort of heart of Tokyo. And I really didn't want to live in the city for myself, also for the kids, for raising kids. So we had a list of sort of criteria. We didn't want to be too far away, sort of within 3 hours drive of international airport. We didn't want to be way in the countryside, but we didn't want to be in the city. So just outside the city with a countryside feel, so on and so forth. So we had this list. And so I thought the best way to do that was to get a motorbike and motorbike around Japan and sort of see see all the spots that could be interesting. And so that's what we did, starting in Tokyo and then went up to the north of Honshu, all the way around through the passes and so forth, down to Kagoshima, Kyushu, obviously through Fukuoka, and Kagoshima, and then back again. And what stuck out was when literally we went through Fukuoka, which would have been, I guess, 3 weeks in or so. We stopped at a gas station, and it was literally the first time over the last 3 weeks that anybody had spoken to me. And it was just like a young lady, and she was just like, "Oh, where are you from?" or whatever, you know. I was like, "Hey, so, hey, hi, how's it going?" I probably, started chatting her ear off, which probably didn't understand very much of, but yeah, it stuck out. And then we had a couple meals because we were basically eating our way through Japan. Specialities in every spot and so forth. And I remember while we were here, we just had incredible meals. And we kept on going. And then when we finished, I had a business trip abroad, and I was on the airplane, and in one of those airplane magazines, it was a special on Itoshima.
Oh, okay.
And it was saying how, young entrepreneurs were moving to Itoshima from France and from, Europe, other places, but that seemed to be the spot. So, yeah, I was chatting with my wife. I was like, look, when we get back, what about Fukuoka? And she used to do business here too. So, overnight trips, couple night trips. And she was like, yeah, people in Fukuoka are like super nice, and it's really good, so on and so forth. So yeah, let's try that. So at this point, my first son was, I think 3 months old. And we rented an apartment in Fukuoka and Hakata for a couple months. And then sort of every weekend we would, take the train out of Itoshima first. And yeah, we didn't really feel the vibe. So I was trying to look for what is all the hype about? And Itoshima came up various times, throughout, but we couldn't really find it or hold on to. And so we thought, maybe we're doing this in the wrong way. So let's rather do this. Let's go to a real estate company and pretend that we're on the market for buying a house, and let them drive us around and show us the hot spots. And so that's what we did. And that was, we got to see, much more of everything. But yeah, just something didn't click. Yeah, I didn't really find I didn't find it there. And then various other places around the back of Fukuoka City, until we got to Nakagawa and did the same exercise in the real estate company. And they were driving us around, and I was like, look, I don't want neighbors. Like, I don't want my neighbor. I need my neighbor to be at least, 15, like minimum 15 meters from any vicinity of my house.
Yeah. And that's very rare here.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she started driving us to like sort of rice fields. So there was like a house with all the neighbors, but just the rice field in front. I was like, no, that's not it. And then she was like, okay, wait, I've got this one apartment. You might like it as an apartment building. And she drove through Minamihata, where we are now. And I remember as soon as we went into it, I was like, whoa, okay, I like this. I was in the back with, my son sleeping on my chest or whatever, and they were in the front. And then we went by Nakanoshima Park, which is like a river, and there was tons of kids all inside the river, which is something I didn't see. There was beautiful rivers, and I don't know, as a foreigner, when I see a beautiful river, and more so with like a bridge or a rock, you're like, I want in there and jump off of there into there. That's the first thought that comes through the mind, right? Yeah. Which I never saw anywhere in Japan. And so right away I was like, yeah, this is it. And so we went to that building, we went back, and then I said to my wife, I was like, look, that was the place.
Mm.
You know, that's where we want to be. And we were going to the States a few days later, so we went to the States. But before we left, there's an company that's hired by the city to relocate people into Minamihata, into our area, Sumitsuke. So we went to them. We're like, look, we're highly interested, but we got to travel now. But if anything comes up, please send us an email. And we were in the States. This was just before COVID. We received an email of our current house and sort of had a look around, checked it on Google, sent her an email back. I was like, yep, we'll take it. It was for rent. But we're like, yeah, we'll take it. They're like, no, you need to come and see it. I'm like, no, I don't. We'll take it. It's ours. Yeah. And so COVID hit and we were like, look, what do we want to do? This seems like, it was right at the beginning when the ship was off port in Yokohama and whatnot. We're like, look, we can stay in the States. There's a good chance that we're going to get, we won't be able to leave. So there's the States, there's Italy, or there's Japan. And we sort of weighed them all up and said, look, if we're going to get stuck, let's get stuck in Japan. And so we came over here and the rest is history.
Crazy. Very cool.
Couldn't be happier, man. I literally could not be happier.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know about the States, but I don't know how you feel about it, but it seems like a crazy place these days.
Yeah.
Pretty tame here in comparison.
Yeah.
What do you do for business here? What's your thing?
So a lot of people, meeting foreigners and people from outside are like, how's Japan? And I really do have the ideal situation because I don't work for a Japanese company. And I think probably within a week of working at a Japanese company, either they would fire me or I would leave. It would just be a deal breaker. I cannot even picture how that would work.
Right.
So I've got I guess in Japan what they call a hobby business, and as a outdoor guide. So we do mostly mountain biking, which Duncan has experienced. Maybe has some scars still left over from. So we do kayaking and mountain climbing as well. But from my side, I've got another tour guide that works with us. But from my side, it's mostly the mountain biking. So that's the hobby business. Then my wife's business is Maru cheese, and we import cheese, pecorino cheese specifically, sheep's cheese, from Italy to Japan. And distribute into restaurants and hotels. And in the last couple of years, we've been doing a lot of events. So it's sort of kind of pop-up restaurant into like the most recent one, that's Sakura Festival at Maizuru Koen. So that business. And then at the same time, I've also got a business in Oman. And so I fly out there for business stuff and fly back in, which I'm starting to dedicate a little bit more time into that side of the business.
Wow. Crazy. Got your hand in a few baskets there, huh?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the one I love the most, which is the outdoor stuff, gets the back burner. So hopefully in the future we can turn that around.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. That sounds very diverse.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, especially with where I live, at the beginning it was really the beauty of it, and it's just a beautiful place. The water is just out of this world, and now it's the community. Yeah, the community is just, I mean, I can't find enough words to just describe how amazing the community is. They're like close enough, but they're not overbearing. Super, super, super supportive. I mean, just incredible. I really, really, really appreciate where we live, and for my kids just to be in that environment and growing in that environment and such.
Are there many other international families in the community?
No. As a short answer, there's another family. He's a English teacher, and one of his kids is schooling in my kids' elementary school now. But just that, for as far as I know, it's just that one family. And then I think there's like another family from, let's say another older couple from LA, I think it is, and they have some association, so they come over periodically and hang out for a bit and go back. They're kind of back and forth. So far as I know, it's just us.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, just as you said, Itoshima kind of was, maybe still is, like a bit of a trend for a while. It's popping up all over the place. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, and yeah, obviously being a podcast in Japan, there's people listening that maybe are interested in Japan, want to come, and there's this thing about come live in the Japanese countryside, buy an Akiya, la 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 la. But what would you say takes to make it success? What do you think it needs to come and just live in the Japanese countryside?
So again, I mean, I've when we did our motorbike trip, we went through mostly countryside, and yeah, that's a whole nother world compared to what we've got. So I mean, I guess I would suggest sort of our situation, where it's like pick a big city, and then just go just outside of it, so it's not too remote where it's weird. It's frankly, it's close enough into the city where I don't know, the vibe is maybe a little bit more in line with foreign way of seeing things and being. But yeah, I think that, and then the second thing is it takes a very particular kind of person, I think, to work for a Japanese company. And so, of course, the English teacher is accessible for foreigners. But if you weren't into that, it's super, super easy to set up a business in Japan. And the support is, I haven't found it. I've had businesses in many countries around the world, and nothing compares to Japan. I mean, grants, like financial support, like knowledge transfer. I mean, anything you want, they are on your side. Like, they want you to succeed. They want you to set up a business, and they'll help you in any way they can.
Is there support in English, or is that all in Japanese?
I mean, everything is based in Japanese. It's starting to change. So a lot of like the online stuff and the documentation and such is is starting to be sort of translated into other languages. But then they also have sort of like small business, SME support hubs, where you generally have some English speakers. I mean, not fluent,
right,
as such, but it's the Japanese way. So they're super patient. They'll try and figure it out with you. They don't get sort of annoyed or frustrated and just kind of send you along. So again, they are on your side, which is strangely not the case in a lot of places where you would think the opposite. And so, yeah. Now, the Japanese market, on the other hand, is 100% different to any other market I've ever worked in, and it takes some figuring out as far as consumer behavior and trends and all of this kind of stuff. But it's kind of cool because it's challenging and it's something new to figure out. Even if you've had a bunch of businesses before, or even a business or whatever it is before, business experience, it's something new that you need to sort of figure out the puzzle, which is interesting.
Sure.
I mean, you shared a little one, having just done the huge Cherry Blossom Festival. I think you said 20,000 people rocking up and 100 of vendors there. And what was the key to making sure people bought your stuff?
Yeah, well, definitely one of the big components of success is line management. Which is the weirdest thing, because most other places, you don't want to, if you're in line for more than X seconds, you start getting frustrated, and you're like, oh, you're not doing your job properly, why am I? Whereas here, it's you must have a line at your stand. If you don't have a line at your stand, your restaurant, your shop, your whatever, it's the death. It's literally the death of you. You might be cheaper, you might be better, you might be whatever, but if you don't have a line, and so we had done this event last year, and I mean, honestly, we just got run over. We were not prepared for the amount of people. And so our menu, our operation, our structure, our layout, everything was not in line with delivering, getting these plates out, every 30 seconds or less. And so I engineered this year for that purpose, and man, were we a machine, to my detriment, because we were just chowing through these lines at way too quick of a pace. And so once we had no line to get that one person, although there was, like you said, thousands and tens of thousands of people, to get that one person to step up and even look at the menu or purchase something was it was effort. And so, but as soon as that one person is a boop, 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 and there you go again, you know. So I was like with the team, you know, I was like, slow it down, slow it down. It's definitely a nuance of being successful.
I mean, and I always find that so funny, because for me, if I was a customer at that event, that stuff looks good, but look at the queue. Like, maybe I'll come back, check it, see if it's died down a bit later. But, you know, that place I can just get what I want right now. So I'd go. So it's opposite, right? It's
right.
Lines are like instant turn-offs for me. I see one and I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the Western mind, right?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I've been Japanese. In all honesty, a lot of the times, it's not foolproof, but a lot of the times, somehow, which I still haven't figured out, I've got better idea of, but I cannot in any way say I've figured it out, is they know. If there's a line there, there's a pretty damn good chance that whatever it is that they're serving is pretty freaking good. You know, worth the 20-minute wait or whatever. And specifically for restaurants, as you guys know, it's not a social event. It's a sit down, put your face in your plate, put that food in you, and get up and leave. Right. So the turnover is quite fast.
Yeah.
Crazy. What do your kids think about living out here? They enjoy the surroundings, I guess, or do they ever pine for the city? Or I guess they don't even know the city at this point. Too young.
Yeah, so the kids side of it, they don't know different in that they haven't lived in the city. I think the strategy that myself, my wife and myself have taken is we're gonna do 0 to elementary school here, and specifically in the valley, just to give them that sort of clean, safe environment to put that base in.
Yep.
But then we don't want to also give them create them, mold them in our to give them the experience that this is life, because it's absolutely not. I mean, our valley is sheltered in relation to Fukuoka, in relation to Tokyo, in relation to other countries. So I mean, we're pretty far down that line. So I mean, they're super happy here. Like in the valley, I'm not sure if this applies necessarily. I'm sure it does, but to the extent in the valley where big kids take care of small kids, you know, it's not like hey, you're small, you know, you go play over there. Like everyone kind of plays with each other and kind of watches over each other. And if someone's doing something dangerous, a bigger kid will be like, hey, well, you know, hey, like, you know, don't do that, and so forth. But yeah, so I think the plan is for high school, we'll move to another country. To do high school in another country and give them that experience, and then thereafter sort of leave it up to them. They'll be at the age where they can decide for themselves what they want to do.
And what about the gap in the middle? So here for elementary school, or high school includes junior high school. You know how Japan does elementary, junior high, then high.
Right.
So they're moving abroad at 12, 13. Is that the goal?
Something like that.
Yeah. Any idea where?
So the
It'd
place
be a year looking around again with them.
Oh man, that would be great if I could convince my wife. I mean, so the places we were looking at were New Zealand, south of Portugal, and Canada. Yeah, but as being a Canadian, the politics in Canada lately have completely turned me off that idea. Hopefully that'll change. But yeah, Canada is also, I mean, a beautiful place. You know, there's crime and there's danger and there's these things, enough to build character, but not too much that, you know, you got to be, you know, helicopter dad or something like that. New Zealand's a little bit far for our family to come, family, friends to just pop over to. and south of Portugal is you need a lot. There's not a lot of commerce going on there, so we would need to be set up quite well financially to do, a small business, something, a small restaurant, small something, just to cover costs and stuff. But it's not. Yeah, you need a good financial backing to be there for a good period of time, and the price of international schools and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. You said you did a lot of touring on a motorcycle then in Japan here.
Yeah, in my life, but yeah, in
In
Japan.
your life. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any place stick out that just you liked more than any other place?
In Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, as a motor biker, yeah, just going over the passes. I mean, going over the mountain passes were just, I was just smiling from ear to ear. The funny part, so I think the trip ended up being about 5 weeks, and we were basically on the move every day. So we would, move from one place, then, unload the stuff, get into whatever accommodation, load it back up the next morning, and then off again. And my wife on the back, so we were two up on the bike. And a decent sized bike, and then going through all of that, and then when we got off at the end, I was like, your question exactly to my wife, I was like, so what was your favorite part, like which I was all like excited, and she was like, honestly, just getting off that damn bike every day. I was like, are you kidding me? You didn't even enjoy it? She was like, no, I enjoyed eating in those places and getting off the bike. She's such a star. I love her. She's such a star.
That's awesome. Kyushu's pretty cool though for biking, eh?
Yeah. Kyushu's amazing. Yeah. And just Fukuoka as well. Like it's in my top 5 cities of the world to live in.
Wow.
Yeah, like a tourist spot. Doesn't have anything touristy per se that a tourist, but to live, it's got everything.
Yeah.
It's got a beach, it's got mountains, it's got beaches, let's say, all the way. It's got mountains behind it. It's not too high. The streets are wide. It's got canals through it. It's got an international airport, like 10 minutes by, public transport.
Yeah.
It's literally, it's big enough at 1 million or 1 million plus that it's got, like art and sports and, everything that you would want. It's got everything. It's literally people are super nice, and the food is extraordinarily delicious.
Yeah, I'm sure you sold somebody on it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And at the events, I'm starting to see so many people. Yeah. So predominantly, Chinese, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Korean.
Yep.
But yeah, so chat with people, be like, oh, so is this your first time in Japan? No. Oh, I've been 5 times, 6 times, 10 times, whatever. Is this your first time in Fukuoka? Yeah. So I think once you've been to Tokyo, I guess a few times, and Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, that sort of line.
Yep.
And then people are starting to discover, Fukuoka.
Definitely. What would your other top 4 cities be then? In the world.
To live in.
Yeah.
I would put Portugal in there. Yeah, Portugal's
like Lisbon or something, or something smaller.
Lisbon, Porto. Yeah, and then of course like kind of beachy place in the south. It's not the Portuguese culture in general and Portuguese people in general. There's no super highs, but there's no super lows. Everything is just very much in the middle. Yeah. So if you're like, 19, 20 years old, that's not your place.
Yeah.
But yeah, family life and where I am now, it's definitely, it's a nice place to live. Then Toronto. Yeah, Toronto's also, for a big city, it feels like a big town rather than a big city. And again, has everything you could ever want. And you can move, as a young person, you can move around a lot. You can live on the outsides and kind of commute into the center. It's got a lot of diversity in it, as far as, just different cultures, different food, different experiences that you could have. There's all sorts of you see it here, but not so much. Like in Canada, there's very much like the skaters, the rockers, the skids, these ones, those ones, and each one of those have their own cultures and their own everything else. And so, yeah, it's super interesting. There's a lot that you can learn from different people. So yeah, Toronto's up there too. And then I would say Czech Prague. Yeah. Prague is also super beautiful, like very economic. The food is good, the beer is good, you know,
And very cheap.
and very cheap, all for a good price, just in a bow. Yeah, so those are some of my top places I would say to live.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, I haven't been out to New Zealand yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one place I haven't been yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, me neither. But I've had some very, very close friends come back, and family have said, "Gotta get there, gotta check it out." So
Yeah.
Margaret, you said earlier that you've been living in Japan for 5 years, but you had been in and out previously. Was that before? I mean, had you been here before meeting your wife, or was that what kind of started? I'm going to live in Japan, possibly.
Yeah. So, man, I don't know if everybody has this, but with hindsight, looking back at my life, like, and I'm not a religious person in any way whatsoever, under any religion. I've read a lot of books of, different religions and so forth, but I don't know, man. I feel like there's like some sort of power that's guided my life. Like, I honestly feel that way, in that you call it, maybe some people call it like coincidences, or some people law of attraction, fate. I don't know. I really
Serendipity.
There you go. Yeah. So, I mean, but I really do feel like just a sequence of things that just happenstance that led my life into like a completely different direction, which was unplanned, unseen, unimagined, and which turned out to be just beautiful living experiences. Yeah. And Japan is one of those. I was in Japan once. My older sister did the United Nations University in Tokyo for, I think it was a few weeks or a couple months or what it was. And I was with my other elder sister, and we just one day were like, "Hey, man, should we just buy a ticket to Japan and just go surprise her?" And we're like, "Yeah, let's do that." And
What age are you at this point?
I had just graduated. I was, I think, about 20,
Okay.
19, 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds the kind of age where you think about doing something like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, we came over here. I think we were here for like 10 days in Tokyo. And yeah, I was blown away. I mean, at that age and we were like hitting all the bars and this and that. And I was just amazed by the difference. I traveled quite a bit at that point too. So I was quite amazed at just how different everything was. And yeah. And then from there on, yeah, I didn't come back until I met my wife. But also, and I think this for many places, I don't know, the typical example is maybe India. It's like you will either love it or freaking hate it, And I've had friends with both. I've traveled with people which get there and they're just like, it's so majestic. They see past, a lot of the other, and I've traveled with other friends. They're like, what the, give me the fuck, get out, dude, change the flight. We're out of here. This place is a shithole. So yeah, and Japan is very much the same. It's very monocultural. It's very deep in its culture. It is the way that it is. If you're going to start going against the tide, it's like you're going to get run over, because there's no compromise, I feel, in the way they do things. In my opinion, justified. But it very much fits with my character, Japan. Yeah. So I remember coming in the same way that I had that feeling in Canada, that home feeling. I had that feeling in Japan, which I never knew how much chatter was in my brain, and it's always, as I was a kid, my nature is just questioning, like, in school and stuff, I used to always get in trouble, they'd be like, oh, go, whatever, sit there and do that. And I'm like, why? And they're like, don't, why? What are you questioning? I told you to go there, and I would just have this, confrontation, and just like, I need to know why. I'm not just like, hey, go and do that. Okay. Like, no, tell me why, explain to me why. And I will willingly, with all my effort, do that. But I need to know why I'm doing something. I'm not just going to. And so, yeah, I never understood. And living in sort of Africa and some developing countries and working in those countries, there's just a million whys. You know, like, why are you going A, B, C, D when you can just do A, D? That just makes the most logical sense. Not that I am smart in any way, but this is the most obvious thing, dude. You know, why are you doing it this way? Well, you know, because, you know, in Italy is typical. Well, you know, that's the way it is and stuff. I'm like, that's retarded. Like, you just all save each other time and have 5 more coffees to your day, you know, if you would just like this. It's so obvious. And so Japan's got a lot of the way that Japan's work is these things have been thought out. And so, you know, you're doing something. And when I first got here, I did question. I'm like, oh, why? And they'd be like, oh, okay. And there's an answer to those whys. By and large, you know, there's some things that don't, but by and large, things are thought through and they're done for a reason, and they've been tried, tested, and we do it this way because this is the best way that we know, most people or humanity knows how. And so this is the way and so I noticed that chatter just kind of, you know, gradually just went away. And like now, you know, I'm not, you know, people look at Japan and they're like, they're a bunch of sheep. Everybody just follows each other. But I don't think they get it. It's not, it looks like that from the outside. But I think so far my interpretation of it is you're working with everybody else for your own good. Right. And it's the understanding that if everybody else is good, I'm good. Right. And I think maybe some people from abroad miss that last part. We're just working together just because we're working together for my own self. So there is an element of for myself, but it's just maybe abroad in some other places. It's like, okay, fuck you guys. It's me. I'll step on your head or anything I need to get myself to where I want to. And that works against you, because if everybody's doing, in my opinion, everybody's doing that, nobody kind of wins, or very few people win. You know, whoever's got the biggest foot or whatever it is, right? Whereas here it's the other way around, and that's in line with kind of my character. And so, yeah, I felt very at ease here. I feel very at ease here.
Nice.
I mean, I must be honest, I find that so at odds of the sort of, not, I'm going to step on everybody's heads, but I do see you, especially knowing a bit about how, you know, your life's gone and stuff, that you are not following the crowd. I'm going my own way. I'm doing things my sort of what I think's best. It's, in some ways, you would be the person I'd imagine finding it difficult to just slot in here. I mean, did you find it surprising that it seems so in line with how you feel? Because what you do hear about Japan is like, oh, you know, don't break any of the rules, don't ask why, there's a way, which can be quite frustrating. I think sometimes, as you said, a lot of people miss that point. But were you surprised at how easy it is for you to be here?
Well, so I didn't, because I kind of ended up here in the way that I did. It wasn't like, okay, I'm going to move to Japan. Let me research about it. What's Japan about? How do I this? How do I that? I you know, very much, as you know, as we talked about earlier. So I didn't have that line of, I guess, expectation, and that it's okay, if you move there, you will have to this, that, and the other. So from that end, as far as the rules, man, my wife is Japanese, and I'm the one that tells her. She's like sometimes like, hey, I'm like, yo, no, you know. It brings me back. I remember once, one of my sisters lives in Miami, Florida, in the States, and my mom was visiting from Argentina, and we were in a car park at a mall, and there was we were gonna cross, and my mom was just like, you know, just cross the street to get to whatever, and she was like, oh, let's just go ahead and cross. And my sister's like, no, like, no, you can't do that kind of thing. And my mom was just kind of like, meh, right? And my sister turned around and said to her, Mom, you know what? It all starts with one meh, and then it turns into Argentina. You know, so I kind of feel the same way about this. I'm very protective over this, because maybe I've lived in a lot of places and I've seen how most of the world does things, and this is just, in my opinion, just a better way. And so the benefits, the upside, again, for me, in my opinion, way outskews the perceived hassle or perceived. So honestly, there's very seldom times, albeit I've only been here for 5 years, but there's very, very seldomly do those things sort of get to me, just because I'm getting so much upside on the other side. So it's like, I guess it's like the meh in reverse. Yeah. So was I surprised? Yeah, no, I didn't have expectation, and I felt it very quickly. And again, it's very much a character thing about that questioning thing that was going in my mind that I never actually even knew that was there, because it's always been the case. And so, yeah, I just very quickly felt at ease and like, okay, I get it. I get it why, for example, my Italian friends came and visited here, and oh my God, they hated it. They hated it. They're like, no, dude, you can't smoke and walk. Muggy. And like, no, you can't do that. No, hey, you can't just like, dude, you can't pee outside inside of a building, man. Oh my God. Like, and they were, 4 days in, they were fed up. They were like, what the, like, you can't fucking do anything here.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cazzo, jump on it. Just complaining all the time. So horses for courses, yeah.
Crazy. It's encouraging to hear that about Japan. Sometimes I question, like, is this the right place to be? With all the rules and regs and the ways of doing things. And
you've got a cheeseburger there. I know you've got cheese. Put that piece of cheese on that thing. Yeah. Like, no, cannot. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's refreshing to hear that sort of perspective from relatively short amount of time, I guess. 5 years. Yeah, I guess it's not insignificant, but yeah, it's enough to know that it's good here.
I mean, something we touch upon sometimes, and it came out a lot after the COVID thing, of managing for me, a very small unit that I feel I have a lot of influence on, and then thinking about bigger picture and realizing actually I can't really do much about that. But I mean, it's clearly working very well for your smaller unit, but I mean, there's a lot of thing of, is Japan working on a bigger scale? How do you feel about that one?
Yeah, so I remember having this discussion. I mean, first of all, working very well, and these guys, I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just making it up as I go along with my little unit.
As we all are.
Trying to have not two boys like fucking break stuff and themselves primarily. So that, yeah, no, on a bigger Japan level, I remember having this discussion with. So I've lived in a few places that were little gems, right? There are these little gems like, a little surfer town, Tarifa in the south of Spain, or even where my town where my family house is in Italy, this like little pristine thing that started getting tourism, or here or there. So in South Africa and in Johannesburg back in its time before, and they were places that were starting to become highly popular, right? And I lived through that process, and frankly just saw how it deteriorated. How culture just got squashed, how people just started becoming irritated, how the locals started getting fed up with the tourists, how like just that maybe overdevelopment issue or the mixing of, I don't know, let's say the trajectory, let's call it, and I've witnessed this time and again with my own eyes. And so I remember speaking with my wife's mom a few years back. Actually, it was before we lived here, when we were coming back and forth, and it was about the immigration issue, and just that they need workers, they need young people, etc. And I was presenting to her, and I was like, yeah, but you know what? She was like more like, yeah, but we should be more accepting of everybody, and we should let more people in, and we need people and all this. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? Frankly speaking, it's probably gonna ruin all the good stuff that you have. And I mean, this sounds really something, and I'm not anti-immigration, and I'm myself. My whole life I am born an immigrant, and I am an immigrant everywhere I go. I've never lived in my own passport country, so it's not that, but because I've seen what I've seen, on the bigger Japan level, I totally understand how you would want to guard this. Like, I mean, if you look at the rest of the world, even, you know, India was like this far off thing in this day. I mean, you go there now and it's all McDonald's and this and rap and whatever. It's actually challenging to find the in India, where I feel, you know, obviously it's a huge country and you still can, but just the westernization of the rest of the world, like Southeast Asia, you know, when we were, you know, maybe young backpackers and stuff, people would be like, wow, look at that, there's like a white person with a big backpack, wow, curious and stuff. Now they're just like fed up of us, right? It's overrun. There's no corner of, you know, Thailand that you could find that's just that little unique Thai people being Thai and these kind of experiences, which is a huge shame, you know, for my kids. I mean, they're not going to have that opportunity. I mean, they're going to have to go to, like, I don't know, Papua New Guinea or something. I mean, I don't know. Where do they go to
North
find...
Korea.
Yeah, exactly. Authenticity, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I totally get the guarding of what they've got here, and especially in the sense of, like, you know, the low crime rates and the functionality of everything. Again, like, I just want to go back to this for foreigners is the number one thing, in my opinion, and from lots of people I've spoken to, is making money in Japan. So working for Japanese companies, and specifically like the traditional Japanese companies. I mean, that is such a minefield of having a shitty life for a foreigner. And so
and a lot of Japanese people, sadly.
True. Exactly. And so and that's, you know, you have to make money, you know, you have to make means. And so it's not everybody who's like, oh, well, just set up a business. It's not. It's super hard. It's super challenging. It's super, you know, starting with your own fears of, will I succeed? Will I not? I need to make money. And then you add in if you've got a family and so on. And so, I mean, it's no small feat whatsoever. It's much easier to be like, look, let me take a paycheck. I know I'm getting that paycheck at the end of the month and so on. But here in this country specifically, and again, in my opinion, and from friends and so forth, I mean, that's a huge hurdle to get over. So yeah, I don't want to paint this rosy picture of like, dude, life in Japan, wow. Yeah. It can be, yeah. But that's a big obstacle in my opinion. Yeah.
Was there any projects that you thought would work that didn't here?
So I mean, look, the cheese business is challenging, and we've kind of pivoted not away from, but like, whereas distribution was 90%,
right?
Distribution's probably gone down to 10-20%, right? And so the events now is where that business has gone, because Japan. So. And this is the side of the Japanese, figuring out the Japanese market and how things work. So, for example, I don't know, just a simple example, a restaurant. So you've got some cheese, and I'm like, hey, try my cheese. Just to get you to try it is already a barrier. It's like, no, I'm good. I've got cheese suppliers. Yeah, but like, try this one. This is really, really good. You know, so that's already one barrier. Whereas maybe in other places they'll be like, sure, yeah, come try it, I'll try it, why not? Right?
Free cheese.
Free cheese, right. So that's one. And then the second one is, even, you know, going to those restaurants, they'd be like, wow, yeah, I love it. Okay, great. So what's your first order? Well, no, you know, I already have my supplier. I'm like, look, you like this one, maybe even better. I'm going to give it to you at a better price. So this is a no-brainer. There's no here. There's like, everything is yes as far as I'm concerned, right? But they have a relationship. They're like, no, you know, I've had this cheese supplier for a long time. They're reliable. They've always been reliable. And so I'm going to stick with this supplier, you know? So those kind of things, which I didn't really understand at the beginning. I thought if I come in with something better at a like or better price, we're going to kill it. Yeah. And yeah, that hasn't been the case, and it's been super challenging.
Just a technical question, as far as communication goes, how's your Japanese? You figure this thing out by yourself, or is that what your wife's for?
Whoever's not watching this, I just blushed. Yeah. Okay. So, like, as I mentioned a whole bunch of times now, I lived and worked in different places, and I remember living in places where people didn't speak. So I speak a bunch of languages. and I was like looking at other people, excuse me, mostly English people,
Of course.
that would be there for like 5 years, for example, or more, whatever X years, and I would be looking at them. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? You've been here for 5 years, and you haven't had the respect to learn their language. Like, come on, man. I am that guy. Today, I am that guy. Like many things in my life, the things that I criticized and the things that I now. So yeah, no, I don't speak Japanese.
It sounds like you got a lot going on anyway, so it'd just be another hurdle to overcome, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Take
if you want to hear
time.
my excuses, I've got a bunch of them.
It's okay. We believe you.
Yeah.
Sweet. I don't know. I feel like this might be a good time to wrap up. Keep listeners guessing as to what else is going on with you. It's interesting. I'm curious for sure.
Yeah.
Unless you want to have any more pressing questions.
No. It's been great, and I think we've probably gone over our time anyway, right? So that's great.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Marco. Really appreciate hearing your perspective as always. Different perspectives here makes this thing interesting. Definitely.
And as well as having some international listeners, we do have some local listeners. So if people wanted to come out and maybe get on the mountain bike and stuff, what's the name of the company?
Yeah, so it's nakagawaactivity.com. So
Great.
It's Nakagawa Activity. Yeah, and then you can book a ride. We do smaller groups, so like 2, 3, 4 if they kind of have a good level, but yeah, small groups anyways. And then we do some hiking also, we've got different levels of stuff, to beginner, intermediate, or some, challenging.
Oh, cool.
So across the board, yeah. If you're interested in getting out of the city or just getting into the wild.
Yeah. and I don't know if we made it clear, but these kind of is the term mountain bike?
Oh, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the huge difference there is, I think normally you have a pretty painful ride up the mountain, but this way you are just as if you're riding your mamachari through a hoary park. You're chatting away. It's a beautiful ride up, and then gets a little bit more exciting on the way down. So I would highly recommend it.
Any things for kids? Are kids involved in these tours, or adult focused?
Yeah, mostly adult focused. Yeah. There's once a year at the Nakanoshima Park, we'll bring out the kayaks in sort of knee high or so water, just to have the kids come out and families and play around and stuff once a year. Okay. But yeah, it's basically an adult. It's a height thing, actually.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
And if when's your next food event? You got one on the cards?
Ooh, so
any Golden Week stuff or?
Yeah, I'm traveling next week abroad for a while, just to take care of some business stuff there. And my wife is considering doing the Bordeaux Wine Festival in Tianjin on her own. Which I don't know which way she's going to go. Every 5 minutes she's changing her mind, and I'm just keeping quiet on the side.
Very, very wise.
I want no part of that decision or the blowback later.
There you go.
Nice. All right. Sweet.
But I mean, when people are at these festivals and stuff, obviously, like you said, there's like 100 vendors. I mean, have you got a name or color tent? How do we find you?
We're the only foreigners there. Yeah, basically.
That's not true. Definitely there's going to be a kebab there. Definitely there's a kebab there.
Yeah. The Sakura one is particularly monstrous, 100 vendors and so forth. But generally speaking, it's smaller events in Tenjin or Hakata, and it's sort of 11, 12 vendors. And then they'll have their shows, and the Bordeaux Wine Festival, for example, the one coming up, there's a lot of opera and instruments, or not orchestra, but instrument players and such.
Sure.
But yeah, so there's smaller events. But yeah, Maru Cheese is generally where we go to. Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice. Well, look, Marco, thanks for your time. I'm glad we got this done. It's been in the works for a while.
Yeah, cool, man.
And we did it outside. I'm really happy about that.
Gorgeous,
gorgeous
great.
Day.
And we'd love to have you back on anytime if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is the first time I've been on a podcast, and so Yeah, it was super interesting and fun to chat with you guys.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and so I got to get you on the mountain next.
Yeah.
Don't listen to what he said.
No, I said it's great. I got back on the horse after my colossal fall, but yeah, it was pretty epic.
Sweet.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you did fantastic, man.
Yeah.
You
Well,
handled
we were joking a little bit about it on the way here, and it is kind of connected to the whole dad club thing. There's been 2 moments where I kind of realized, and everybody says this shit, and I used to listen to it, but I didn't really get it until these 2 moments of like, I'm getting older. The first one was we were setting up for a party, and we've done it pretty much every year, and there's always one job which I'm happy to do, which is get up this not the most stable ladder pretty high and put the disco ball up. And it was just after my daughter had been born, and I got to the top and I was like, I shouldn't be doing this shit. Like, it's going to be pretty bad if I don't make it through this.
the ladder or the disco ball?
Well, yeah, a bit of both. But that disco ball is still there, I think. I don't think that ever came down. And then, yeah, the second one was when, after having this epic crash and just sort of, shit, I'm not indestructible. Like, I'm only learning this in my early 40s. Okay. Maybe I should take up golf. I don't know.
I'm sure your tours are safe. Yeah.
But yeah, I was back on the bike in a while, so yeah, all
Yes,
good.
sir.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All
All right.
right.
Thanks,
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 everybody.
Marco.
Yeah,
thanks, guys, for
Marco.
listening,
Cheers.
and we'll be back soon.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.